Police descended upon Halloween festivities in China's big cities this week to prevent youths from dressing in costumes. Spiderman, Batman, Ninja Turtles, a Fan Bingbing lookalike, and even a Buddha and a monk were among many who braved a rainy weekend to celebrate Halloween but ended up being rounded up by authorities. Even big plush toys were checked to see if they were a human dressed in cosplay, and foreigners too. In big cities like Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Guangzhou, Chinese police prepared themselves for costume censorship this year because, since last year, Halloween in China has become both an annual cultural threat and a worrying political threat. The authorities have labeled it a soft protest, but China's youths are coming out in defiance, and the tension between them and the authorities is getting higher. Hello China watchers, welcome to China Insights. My name is Ben Hedges, and on this channel we cover some of the most gripping news and cultural affairs stories from China. If you like the sound of that, do subscribe to the channel, and now let's get into the story. Halloween celebrations are now taboo, but China's youths don't agree, coming out in big numbers to some of China's largest cities, including Shanghai. After last year's Halloween event turned into a public showcase of frustration, long suppressed emotions, and using role play to ridicule the Chinese authorities, Shanghai's municipal government got in early this year to try and prevent the same influx of costumed youths in the city that they called a soft protest. In 2023, young Chinese citizens dressed boldly in creative costumes that were unexpected and caught the regime off guard, with their visuals going viral on the Chinese global internet. Some costumes mocked Xi Jinping by dressing as Winnie the Pooh. Others mocked the Chinese stock market, youth unemployment, oppressive security measures, while others wore hazmat suits and carried giant cotton swabs to mock China's strict epidemic policies during COVID. This year, Halloween broke a silence for China's youths, who seemed to blossom with the chance of a creative outlet for their personal and social frustrations. The authorities weren't prepared for Halloween last year, so they didn't take any risks this year and prepared well in advance of the planned festivities. An early police notice was issued internally to neighborhood communities across Hangpu district, which said all cosplaying is prohibited and no Halloween makeup will be permitted. Use verbal persuasion at first, but compulsory measures must be used in the event of non-cooperation. Another notice from a district in Shanghai warned business owners that they cannot display any Halloween elements such as bats, pumpkins, ghosts, coffins, skeletons, etc. There was no citywide official notice prohibiting Halloween, but district officials sent a notice to companies before the weekend to discourage adults from wearing costumes. Halloween celebrations that were officially approved by the CCP, such as in the Disney Resort and Happy Valley Amusement Park, were allowed to be held as scheduled, but anyone other than young children were discouraged from wearing costumes. A local bar and restaurant owner told Reuters that they were asked to sign an agreement issued by the local government promising not to organize any activities such as costume competitions. The reason the authorities gave was to maintain good social order and public image. But whose public image is it that needs to be maintained? Well, it seems that the CCP is increasingly struggling to keep up with these veiled forms of expression and social resistance that come in the form of public art. The CCP ordered a number of Chinese websites to strictly investigate anyone who uploads Halloween videos. The websites were also told that they could no longer publish works that, quote, violate socialist core values, to prevent Western culture from infiltrating China. So how much of the suppression of Halloween costumes is really to do with protecting socialist core values from Western culture, and how much is it to prevent Chinese youths feeling empowered to speak out against political suppression? Well, take a look at what happened on the streets this year and decide for yourself. The police turned out in full force and forced many partygoers to remove their costumes and makeup. In Shanghai, the main areas for Halloween gatherings are typically on Jiulu Road and in Zhongshan Park, but gatherers expanded this year to a local shopping mall as well. On Jiulu Road, there was a police officer standing guard every few feet, and in Zhongshan Park, the police stood out surprisingly conspicuously among the crowds of colorfully dressed youths. This year it was rainy weather, so fewer partygoers came out, and this likely made the job easier for the police. An unknown number of Chinese citizens were taken away by the law enforcement officers. Some had their IDs checked. These young ladies dressed as sheep were taken to the police station and told to remove their makeup and costumes before they could leave. Compared to the politically sensitive costumes from 2023, this year's costumes seemed more subdued and much less politically pointed, but just as colorful and creative. However, there were still some standout political costumes, like this person dressed as the former mayor of Taipei, Ke Wen-je, and this person who took the risk of dressing as a police officer, but then he got taken away. Someone dressed as Donald Trump was taken away too, and someone in a traditional Chinese handkerchief outfit. Even though citizens were somewhat less politically provocative, their costumes were still too much for the authorities. In Zhongshan Park, youths were singing a popular song while police were trying to disperse them, and eventually took away the two main singers. Why? Well, they are singing a popular love song, Why Do You Say It's All My Fault? The lyrics themselves don't seem to have any political implication or innuendo, at least not directly. In the first verse they are singing in this video, the lyrics are, if you don't love me, give me back my heart. You exchange your youth for love, what else have I left behind? The lyrics seem quite benign, yet there is an implication of not being loved and being blamed. Are the youths perhaps singing that to the police, feeling like the police should care for them but don't, and that the police or the authorities are blaming the youths based on the song's title, Why Do You Say It's All My Fault? Whether it was the song choice or the fact that they had gathered together in costume, the police were determined to break it up. They confiscated the music amplifier and took the singers away. In one video, a young woman was dressed as the Statue of Liberty and shouted, "Freedom," and the crowd cheered and responded. Authorities decided to close Zhongshan Park after that, sending out this notice to citizens. But it was too late. News of Shanghai's fight against Halloween had already become a hot topic on China's social media sites and on X around the world. The videos caused heated discussion, and many netizens responded with messages of support freedom. Some netizens exclaimed, "I saw freedom of speech." Another said, even in the relatively open Shanghai, the scale of freedom is constantly shrinking, a user posted. A Chinese commentator wrote, young people using role-playing and artistic methods to reproduce real ideas that cannot be sent on the internet. This is what the CCP is most afraid of. Another wrote, the awakening and struggle of the Chinese, especially young people, is a nightmare for the CCP. In Hangzhou, the capital of neighboring Zhejiang province, Chinese youths dressed as Batman, Deadpool, actress Fan Bingbing, and others were taken to a hotel lobby where they were told to get themselves a taxi and go home. A man dressed as Jesus was also taken away. This guy was taken by police and forced to take off his mask and put on his shirt. But it wasn't easy for the police to do their job. Here, when they walked through a crowd, the partygoers all cheered for their, costumes. In Hangzhou, Chinese youths and any other Halloween celebrators were given an unofficial curfew of 9:30 p.m. and Hangzhou police was said to clear the streets by 10 p.m. In the city of Guangzhou, the weather was better than it was in Shanghai, and the crowds of costumed citizens surged, making it hard for police to do much about them. Online across the nation, Chinese netizens posted comments from all perspectives. One posted with sarcasm, "Being taken away by police is so Halloween." Another posted, "This will only make things worse. Hopefully the government will understand this and let people enjoy Halloween." Another raised the question of political forces potentially taking advantage of or driving the celebrations, and they wrote, "Normal people in China don't celebrate Halloween. Someone is organizing this event because they are afraid that you have political purposes." Chen Jining was originally one of the prince candidates, so he is naturally afraid of something happening. It is actually normal. If you hold a temple fair in the city god temple and do cosplay, he will not be so sensitive, because this form itself is not a Chinese tradition. There are also people leading the rhythm, so he is naturally nervous. One netizen wrote, "I'm afraid there will only be zombies in the future." Another citizen asked, "What happens when you pretend to be Chairman Mao?" There was no answer that we saw to that question. It seems that perhaps no one has dared to do that publicly yet. At this year's Halloween, there were people dressed as Stalin and Lenin getting attention at Zhongshan Park in Shanghai. And that is somewhat ironic that the name Zhongshan is a very common name for parks throughout China. There are at least 40 Zhongshan parks in the country and some in other countries too. And the name Zhongshan is given in honor of Sun Yat-sen, who is better known in China by his Chinese name Sun Zhongshan and is considered by many to be the father of modern China. Sun is revered by the Republic of China on Taiwan, where he is officially the father of the nation, Guofu. And in Taiwan this year, as most other years, Halloween festivities were just regular events, with plenty of fun, creativity, but without any of the arrests or politicization happening just across the water from Taiwan on the mainland. So what do you think about the suppression of Halloween in China? Do you think it's to protect socialist values from Western cultural infiltration or police suppression of Chinese youths? Let us know in the comments below, and do like and subscribe for more China Insights.